I'm Amber Davies and welcome to Call to Stage. This is the space where musical theatre takes centre stage. From unforgettable backstage stories with incredible special guests to insights from my life and my theatre journey. We're leaving it all on the mic every single week, so let's jump in. Hi guys, welcome back to Call to Stage with me, Amber Davies, Broadway Edition. Broadway. I can't believe who's sitting next to me. I'm just going to introduce her right now. It's the Broadway queen, Shoshana Bean.
Oh, you're kind.
I can't believe you're here.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
I have a sweaty upper lip because
Stop.
I'm fangirling so hard. I have like boob sweat coming
Oh, I'm flattered.
Now, Shoshana, pick any role you've ever played. I ask this to all of my guests just to like get us in the zone. What's your pre-show ritual?
I mean, generally, my vocal warm-up starts like no less than 2 hours before the show, just to get everything, you know, the blood moving and everything toned and tight and ready to go. So never less than 2-3 hours before the show. So I really don't, once I've done that, I don't touch it again.
Do you not?
No, because it's primed, it's ready to go. Once it's
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're just like, she's there, I'm fine.
No. It's a rigorous warm up. It's like
okay.
an hour of warm up, and but once it's almost like putting the train on the tracks. And once it's on the tracks, but again, it takes. It holds is basically what I'm saying. It stays warm, but it's hours before to get ready. So that's always the case. I think it depends on the show. So, but the majority of the shows I've been in were either pre-existing Circle Up or I brought Circle Up to the equation because I think it's really important to see everyone and touch base, and it has the ability to sort of galvanize and align the energies in the building, which can always be erratic and complicated, and everyone always arrives in a different place. So I find that circling up and looking in each other's eyeballs and sort of aligning with a purpose and an intention for the night or the matinee really, really helps. So that's important to me, to see the people that I'm about to play with.
That's so interesting because in London we have a compulsory warm-up
I
as a
know,
company.
and I had an offer on the table a couple times to do West End, and I remember being like, "Is there a way that I can get out of this warm-up? Is this a requirement?" And they're like, "This is what we do," and I'm like, I don't want to do it, but I guess it's like really from some friends of mine who've done the West End are like, it's actually quite lovely.
Yeah. It is. It brings you in. It gets you all on the same page. You all warm up together, and it's kind of like a circle up moment.
Yeah,
you have it before. Obviously, you get ready.
I like that.
I
won't negotiate it out next time.
Yeah, no, don't. Although I'm pretty sure if you said, "Can I not turn up for warm up?" they'd say, "Shoshana, you don't need to come to warm up."
I don't know. I feel like you've made it. You've like solidified the purpose and intention for it.
It's a positive thing.
I like that.
It isn't a slog. Trust me. Like it's a good thing. It's a good time.
Okay.
That's one question I was going to ask you later on, but because you've just brought it up naturally, when are we going to have you in London is the question.
Oh, I'm dying to be there. Believe me, if I could pack my bags and be there tomorrow, I literally have been threatening everyone. If this election goes in a way that I don't want it to go, will I be brave enough to actually do what I've been saying I'm going to do and just pack up and head over there?
Because we want you.
I want to be there. Believe me, it's never for lack of not wanting to be there. I love existing over there. In fact, every time I get a vacation, I go and people are like, "Why do you keep going back? Because I just like existing there. I like having my coffee there and walking in the park there and journaling there and writing music there. I just love existing there." So,
you know, when you visit somewhere and it feels right.
Yeah.
It's like it feels right.
Always has felt right to me. And really is just like if I can say this without being too controversial, it's just like a more sophisticated, more civilized New York in a way.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like that.
I love it there. And I love the people.
I really like that take.
Okay, good.
Now, you have done a million things. So some we can talk about, some I'm just going to reel off.
Okay.
So, Godspell, Leader of the Pack. Your Broadway debut was Hairspray as cover Tracy.
Yeah.
Wild. Freaking wild to me. But do you know what I love? Is that you really did start in the traditional way.
Yeah.
From cover to ensemble and worked your way up. I mean, it really didn't take you that long to get to where...
I mean, you know, if you ask younger me, she would have been like, it took forever.
Yeah, I bet in that time, you know. Did you always have a feeling, I will lead, I will be a principal?
I think so. I think the dream continued to change because I posted when we opened Hell's Kitchen, a friend of mine texted me this picture of like our 6th grade yearbook, which I don't know how she got her hands on it, but it said she dreams of being a dancer on Broadway. And so I think the original goal was to be a dancer.
Oh, wow.
And then, then obviously I went to college for it, and the goal was always to be the lead. But then I got here, and, it took the course that it took. But I'm really grateful. Like, again, if you would have asked me then, I would have been like, it took forever. It took 3 years for me, 3 years in the city for me to get my Broadway debut. Because back then, my school, when people would graduate, they would just come and land a role in Les Mis and like they were just working. So it felt to me like I wasn't doing it right, or I wasn't getting my opportunity. But looking back from where I sit now, it just had to go that way. It had to start off Broadway, and then it had to start with understudying and learning from people like Marissa and Harvey. Yeah. And then it had to move to being a standby for Adina, and watching that, I just absorbed everything.
Just to reiterate that for you guys, Shoshana was a standby for Idina Menzel on Wicked in Broadway, okay?
Yeah.
Which I was jaw on the floor about.
I was very lucky.
I mean, we learn every day. In this industry, we are constantly evolving, constantly learning. But like, it was like you had extra training.
100%. And it wasn't, looking back, it wasn't ever anything I asked for. I very rarely asked questions. I just somehow watched and absorbed and understood, oh, this is how a leader leads. This is how this is the responsibility of a principal. And a lot of it was stuff I would hear, or expectations that were, communicated to me. And also it was just watching how Harvey did it, watching how Marissa did it, remembering how that made me feel.
Yes.
And being like, I want to be like that. I want to do it like that. I want to always make a cast feel like a family as best I can. I always want to be generous. I always want my door to be open. Those are the things I learned. And I always want to show up. If my body can do it, I want to be there.
Yeah. You come over very disciplined.
I wish I were more disciplined than I am.
Really?
Yeah.
What areas are you not so disciplined in?
I think that like I've really, my pendulum has really swung. Like, I think in the beginning, when I first took over in Wicked, I was alarmed at how much discipline it took, and it really made me unhappy. Okay. I was so unhappy that my entire life revolved around making sure that I could do my job. And I resented that, and I was really sad to see that that's what it looks like to have your dream come true. And so the pendulum swung to really wanting to just do my own music and my own artistry, because I could be reckless in a way. I could live however I wanted to.
On your timeline.
That's right. And there was no one to say that I was doing it wrong, because it was my creation. So there was no one to compare me to, and and that felt safer, really. There were no expectations. Then coming back, I realized there's a healthy, like when I came back for Waitress, I really realized there's a healthy balance for how to live your life and be happy, and also show up and be able to do your job.
And also not take it too seriously.
Yeah, which is really hard. It's really hard. But I've been doing this a long time, and I'm much older now. And so I am able to have a healthy balance of like really respecting it and doing what I need to show up and be disciplined in that. And also still having, a balance of having a life and fun and yeah. But I have that gift with these past couple of roles I've played. It hasn't required every ounce of me. It's required a certain amount of me. And I actually miss being bled dry every night. Wow. I really miss that.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
You never would have said that when you were doing the 8th show as
Because
Elphaba.
I didn't know what the option was.
Yes.
And then Waitress, Funny Girl, and then Beaches, and then Waitress. Those were the next roles I played, and they all bled me dry.
Did they?
Bled me dry. And then Mr. Saturday Night and Hell's Kitchen, and I'm like, it's nice being able to like be a supporting character, and like, you can have more of a life and do other jobs, and I really miss like leaving it all on the stage.
Dear John Mayer, you starred and wrote.
You really went digging.
I did dig.
I love it. I appreciate it. Yes.
It said that you starred and wrote it, and I thought, I have to ask her about this.
Yeah. That was when I had lived in LA for a few years, and I had a manager at the time who said, we got to find a way to bridge the gap between your music and your theater career and these people that still want you to do theater. Is there a world where you can write a theatrical piece for yourself that's your music in the way that you want to do it, and is still theatrical? And so I wrangled one of my best friends from college, who's a brilliant writer, and I was like, let's come up with a concept in a show. And like, and that's what we came up with, was this sort of glorified one-woman show. There were other characters.
Okay.
This girl who lived her life the way her family sort of required that she should, and it didn't go well. So she was back at home living with her mom in her 30s and had imaginary backup singers in her head and just always dreamed of being a singer and a star. And her sort of way into that was just like obsessing over John Mayer and, listening to his music and creating a video blog in hopes that one day he would find it.
Is there any way I can watch this? Is there any
if you promise
footage?
not to let anyone ever see it, I'm pretty sure I have it filmed, but no one can. It will be like
you.
This link will self-destruct.
I promise you.
Okay.
Swear. It will just be me.
I'll let you watch it.
Oh
None of you, nobody else, not even your boyfriend who's out there in the hallway. No.
Oh no, I promise you, it will just be me. It will be our thing.
Yes, I'll find it for you.
Okay,
yes.
thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. You did just touch base on it, Funny Girl and Beaches.
Yeah.
Funny Girl bled you dry.
Yeah, for sure. But it was so quick to the point of discipline. Like I basically put myself in boot camp to get ready for it because it was a 2-week rehearsal, 2-week run. It just like really shot out of a cannon with those regional theaters. And that was the role I waited my whole life to play. So I got ready like an athlete prepares for a race. I was like, here we go. So that was a great pleasure to be. All of these roles have been a privilege to be giving in that way. You just,
Can I ask, is there certain things that you will do to prepare for a role like that? What would be like your go-to things? Is it like cut out alcohol?
I mean, sure. Everything in the body, because the voice is the body and because our energy levels are a function of the body, it is rest and hydration and really cleaning out really anything that's inflammatory. So that's alcohol and a long list of other things. So I did start with getting my body totally into shape. I think when you've had months off or you're not singing every day, it also becomes warming up and vocalizing for, if it's not for one big chunk that day, it's multiple little chunks in the day. And really it's working the music. It's running that music every day to start to tell your body, like, we're going to be doing this every day, 8 times a week. For me, there's 2 things that are like running with a weight vest on. And that is classical music, just getting my voice back into singing classical because of the amount of support that it requires. So running arias and Mariah Carey, because that's another thing, like the way that Mariah's songs are edited and crafted, like it requires so much strength and support to really get through those. So those are the 2 tests, and sort of like if I'm out of shape, those are the things I use to get back into shape, and those are the things that let me know what kind of shape I'm in.
Interesting. What you're referring to is your vocal stamina. Really?
It's stamina, and it's also like it is a strength. It's can you hold in place, can you anchor in place in a really like solid one voice all the way up and down type of way? Or are you manipulating vowels and like is there additional tension, and are you flipping into different parts of your voice to maneuver and make this happen? And when I'm in my best shape, I can hold it in one place and just all the way up and down.
Well, we know. We've heard. Thanks, though. We know what you can do. Well, that is so true, though, because sometimes, say you've been on holiday during a contract and you go back to work and you think, oh, God, this is a bit of a stretch, It
doesn't take long. That's the weird thing. It does not take long to fall out of shape. It can take days sometimes. And the other sort of like misnomer or misunderstanding is that when you're doing 8 shows a week, you're in shape. You're in shape for those 8 shows. You're in shape for what you're singing. So like I can be doing an incredible sing, like a really difficult sing, and I go to sing Jason Robert Brown and I'm like, I can't get through it. Well, because my voice is like, well, we just do this. So that's the other thing that's really important about staying in shape while you're in a show. It's like for dancers, you know what I mean? Their body gets used to doing one thing, so they have to sort of cross train with ballet or whatever else. So it's the same thing for...
I love the fact that you just mentioned Jason Robert Brown, because that is exactly what we're going on to next.
Yes.
Songs for a New World. That blew up. How did you come about to being a part of that? Were you friends with Jason?
Jason and I have been friends for a long time. And when we finally were able to align, we were both living in LA. I don't know, if you're lucky in this life and in this career, you align with people who are just like soulmates in a way, creatively and as friends. And Jason is one of those people. I don't know. It's just always made sense. And I think a lot of times the shows that he writes or works on don't make sense for me to be a part of. But something like Songs for a New World, it just made sense.
What was your favorite song to sing?
Oh, Stars in the Moon will always be.
I was listening to you do that this morning.
Always, always, always.
It's literally heartbreaking.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Like, I watched you were singing, there was a pianist behind you, you were just sitting down with your legs crossed, and, you know, you weren't standing up or anything, and you were just kind of giving us this performance, and it broke my heart.
But that's Jason. That's Jason. And the thing about Jason's work is like, and this is what spoils any singer who's lucky enough to work on his stuff, when you move on to other composers, with Jason, it's just like, all you have to do is show up to it. The song does all the work. It tells the story. It takes you on the journey. All you have to do is honestly show up to it and open your heart to it. And it's like, it flatters the vocalist and the storyteller, but it's him. It's truly the best work requires so little effort.
Yes.
And the stuff that's not great requires a lot of work
effort
to really justify and really make it, shine it up.
Sell it.
Yes. And Jason's stuff, it just doesn't. If anything, it requires vocal work because he really writes some of his stuff, like Flag Maker from Songs for a New World, so hard for me. It just sat in a yucky place in my voice and had a lot I'm
glad you have a yucky place in your voice.
I have lots of yucky places.
It makes you, like, you know, so relatable.
I'm so human I think that I've just got you all fooled. I'm glad. I'll just keep it that way.
But listen, I'm a London girl, you know, so.
Yes. And
you're Shoshana Bean, so that's where I'm coming from with that.
Okay, I'll take it.
Moving on to Waitress, you went in as Jenna, and then you got extended as Jenna. Did you just fall in love with that role?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
That's my favorite role I've ever had the good fortune to play, and I only get emotional because my friend Gavin Creel is like the reason that I got that opportunity. He said to them, you know, you should really think about Shoshana in this part. He and I were FaceTiming one time when he was playing Dr. Pomander. And he was like, I'm backstage, I'm working at Waitress. And he's like, have you ever been seen for Jenna? And I was like, no, why would I be seen for Jenna? Like, knowing the women who played it, you would not put us in a lineup and assume that any of us would play the same role. I would be the one of these things is not like the other. And I was like, no, bro, I've not. Why would I, you know? And he was like, oh, I really think that you should investigate that. I think that you should have your people talk to whoever they need. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. But thank you, pal. And I guess he talked to Sarah about it, pled his case as to why he felt like I was the right choice for that. And then it was just an offer. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, is this your doing? Why is this an offer? Are you sure they don't want to make sure?
Me.
Yeah. So that was Gav. And I'm so grateful that he did, because it's not something I would have sought out, just assuming it wasn't a good fit. And then when the offer came, I was like, this feels like not a good choice. I'm going to lean in. I just felt scared of it. It felt like when this press release comes out, people are going to go, what? Why? And now I have to show up and show them why. It was the greatest gift I've ever been given in a theatrical experience. Wow. No question. And all of them have been insane gifts.
Yeah.
That one is untouchable.
I've always been a massive fan of Waitress, as in listening to the soundtrack.
Yeah.
But I've never seen the show until I flew over here yesterday. It was on the fly. It was on the plane.
Oh, yes. I watched it on my way back from London as well.
I was hysterical.
Yeah.
I was sobbing.
So
and I was like...
I thought it was just me.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Hysterical. I'll insert the clip, okay? I just didn't understand. When you listen to the songs in tandem, it's devastating.
Yeah.
It's so painful.
Yeah.
And like, how do you disconnect?
You don't. And was part of the gift and the challenge of that show was I couldn't disconnect. I remember I had this incredible voice doctor during that time. He's since passed, but he, you know, when I was really just struggling with the stamina and the endurance, he was like, you've got to leave her at the show.
Yeah.
He was like, almost like make a routine of saying goodnight to her. I'm leaving you here. I'll be back tomorrow. And I was like, I can't do that. I can't do it. I think that there was something about that role and that time in my life where she made me more vulnerable and tender. And I gave her a strength that I think that... oh
my God, you're going to make me cry.
I remember when I left, Diane Paulus came to the show and gave a beautiful speech at my curtain call and was like, you showed us things about her that we didn't know. And you gave her a strength that we didn't know that she had. And that to me was just like this beautiful exchange. I think that characters come to you at a time in your life when you're up to that same challenge in your own personal life.
Yeah.
Always they come at the perfect time to teach us something. And I couldn't disconnect. I think that I really struggled with being that vulnerable and that open. I gained a lot of weight. I definitely ate to comfort myself and move through that experience. It was the most wide open I'd ever been. And it was so scary and so vulnerable and so tender. And I definitely leaned on food to comfort myself at that time.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
And I think something, I obviously, just from speaking to you, and I'm so sorry for the loss, but you'll have that for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And that's so special.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to Mr. Saturday Night.
No tears there. The only laughter.
Only laughter. You were up for a Tony.
Yeah.
The album was nominated at the Grammys for Best MT Album.
Yeah.
Is that on your bio on Instagram?
No.
You should. It should be. Like what? Please explain that period.
Again, just all divine and so many gifts. When it came across my desk, I guess, when I got the email about the audition, I was like, oh, huh. I don't know. I don't know. I just rode the wave. And then all my auditions were with Billy at his house, in his pool house, you know, just me and him reading these scenes. And I was like, this is crazy. It just feels right. He feels like family. He feels familiar. It feels like we've known each other forever. And the whole experience, again, just a beautiful gift in a whole other way. It was if Waitress was a masterclass in vulnerability, Mr. Saturday Night was a masterclass in comedy, watching him work and understanding the musicality of it and listening to the way he can, and I don't want to say manipulate an audience, but like take them on a ride and with comedy. Yes. It was a masterclass. And also, like, as a Jewish woman, to get to work side by side with one of the last of the Mohicans, really, like in the Borscht Belt, like, history of Jewish comedy, he's the last one standing, really, of that particular art form. And the way that he does it, it's shifted, and there's really nobody left like that. So that was such a gift. And of course, Jason was the composer, so Jason is there.
So you're working with a
small
good
cast.
Team.
Incredible. And you're that. John Rando. Your director, John Rando. Yes.
Was Rando on it?
Yeah, it was his show.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Now you are currently in Hell's Kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Original cast. Mm-hmm. I am coming to see you tomorrow night.
Oh, perfect.
And I can't wait.
Okay.
I have never seen you perform live.
Uh-oh. I better turn it on for you.
I will bring the tissues because I'll probably sob the whole time.
You might cry, yes. You might cry.
Were you originally in like the process of creating it?
Yes. Both with Mr. Saturday Night and with Hell's Kitchen, I came into the process after they had really done the majority of their work.
Okay.
So HKI joined in the last workshop or reading before they went to the public. So it was pretty much solidified what it was looking like. They were in the process still of writing one of my songs, but everything pretty much was what it was when I joined. When we were moving to Broadway is when I had some more conversations with like the director, and when I was able to sort of like make a couple adjustments that would help justify and deepen some of the stuff that was already there. But it was really already, you know, it's my DNA because it's mine, and I don't know any other way to sort of show up. But the bones of it were already there for sure. Yeah.
Okay, but you know, put your taste.
Yes.
I have listened to the soundtrack, of course, and you've obviously met Alicia Keys.
Yes.
Is she fab?
Yeah, she's the best. She's, you know, the reason why I wanted to do the project, and I'm glad that I did, because the working relationship and the friendship that has developed with her is like, on top of all the other gifts that have come along with it, is certainly at the top.
And is she hands-on with it?
Yeah.
She is?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, she's straddled the coasts because obviously she has a family and a whole life out on the West Coast, but she was there.
You don't have many shows left, do you? You have 6 weeks?
Yeah.
And of course, you've mentioned that it doesn't bleed you dry like the other roles that you've played.
Sure.
So, do you know naturally when to move on?
Yes, I do. I definitely do. I think that I've learned that like a year is really my limit.
Yeah.
Not because I don't love it, not because there's not more to mine for and bring to it, not because I'm not extremely grateful, but there's so much more I want to do, and there's so many other projects, and another album to make, and I don't know, I just have so much else that I want to do.
Yeah.
So. And that's really why it's time to go. And it was the length of my contract. Like that, I always had an 8-month contract with the option to extend, but I just felt like I feel complete, I guess.
Yeah.
It's just sort of like a heart thing. It's just like,
There's
I feel
nothing else to
complete.
discover.
No, there'll always be something else to discover.
Oh,
I want to be
really?
very clear about that. There's never an end to that. And that's what I love about what we do, and the gift of having a long running show is there's never, I'm not bored, and I'm not done discovering things inside of the music or this character. And that's the beauty of working with a recording artist and a pop star like Alicia, is that she understands that you feel differently on different days, and so melodies are altered and riffs are different. Like the ability to change what I sing every day is such a gift, because we don't get that in musical theater.
You do not.
You got to sing what's written, and
do you have the option?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Within reason, of course. Like I'm not
Brilliant.
going insane, and she doesn't come back to the show and go like, what is this new song that you're singing? Like it's obviously with respect to certain things that she's particular about, and respect to like what she's written, of course. But we do have a gift, and being able to be, what she said to me early on was shine unhinged. So I feel like vocally I get to be a little unhinged in this show.
shine unhinged.
Isn't that the greatest?
I literally want that on my gravestone.
Someone told me you should probably tattoo that on your arm.
You should.
It's a great mantra to live by, truly.
And tomorrow night,
I will shine unhinged for you. Just for you.
yeah, I would really love the performance to be dedicated to me.
You got it.
If you would have
Done deal. It's absolutely.
I want to mention your own albums: Spectrum, A Farrell Street, Song Your Hallelujah, and Superhero.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned more to come.
Yes. I'm deep in the writing process of the next record, and I'm taking my time with it. It's not going to be like in 6 months from now. I really feel strongly about having the right story of songs.
When you go in to write an album, is it in your mind like each song connects in some way?
Sometimes I with both with O'Farrell Street and with Superhero, I felt like they told a story and took a journey, because Superhero was very much about a certain person and O'Farrell Street was largely about a certain person. And so I tried to at least put the songs in an order that for me felt like they told the story from beginning to end. It's not a song cycle, if you will. Like it's not
a music. Yeah,
that's right. It's not like
But I was wondering if in your
but
mind,
they all have to be. They have to live in the same world and be a part of the same snapshot of this chunk of time of who I was and what I learned. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, is it like it's all from life, your life, what you feel, what you felt?
Always. And sometimes I wish that I could draw inspiration, and sometimes I do, from things outside myself. But it's hard, because the real visceral, raw, honest, vulnerable stuff is my own.
Yeah. I think that's special. The hardest song in your career you've ever had to sing?
Ooh.
It could be emotionally, it could be physically, it could be one...
I'm sure like 8 times a week back in the day, it was something in Wicked, and that changed all the time. When you're running, I was doing that show for almost 2 years, between being the standby on Broadway and then on the tour, and it would shift. Sometimes I'd be like, this is so weird. I can't sustain the end of the note at the end of
Wizard and I.
Elikanamen. What's that song called?
Oh, A No Good Deed.
Thank you. I'm glad one of us knows the show. Sometimes it was like I was being crunchy at the end of Wizard and I. Sometimes it was like it would shift. So I think the hardest score I've ever had to sing was obviously Wicked. And also I was younger and I didn't really have a handle and a mastery on my voice back then. So I didn't know how to get out of trouble when I was in trouble.
Okay. And that was early on in your career, so I'm not surprised.
I was young, and we didn't know any other way than to be at a 10 all the time, until my voice teacher was like, you're going to have to find like a B show and a C show, because you can't sustain doing this every show. But when I was in Waitress, I was like, I'm going to be a 10 every show. And if I have to call out, I'll call out. But like, I don't know how to not. That just is what I felt in Waitress. I'm like, I'm not giving you a B show. She used to be mine. It's not happening.
No.
So either I'll have to call, and I didn't. I didn't have to, gratefully, but
Voice of Steel.
I wouldn't say that. I would say technique of steel.
So
I know how to recover when I go too far.
And you know how to get yourself out of trouble when you're in trouble.
That's right. I feel like this is horrible advice.
Yeah.
It's very personal to my own
It
journey.
helps no one.
Do as I say, not as I do, okay?
Well, not that I had any expectations at all about how you'd be, but you have exceeded them all.
Oh, good.
You are just a dream. I am so glad you agreed to come on. When you messaged me back on Instagram, I literally had a fit.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm so honored to be among your Broadway Edition.
No, thank you so much. And guys, thank you for listening, and you're welcome for this episode.
Thank you.
Bye.